Mo blow go. Mo
Mo
blow
blow
go.
go.
Mo blow go.
Hi guys, this is Smo Blow and Go. I am one of the hosts, Ricardo Vargas, and we have Parker Hodge and Aiden Casca.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, so let's do a quick introduction for those that don't know who we are. Parker, you can go ahead and start.
Hey guys, I'm currently at about 120 or 130,000 this year. Solo, mostly solo, some part-time help. That's about all. Looking to do probably 200 to 250 next year.
Cool. How about you, Aiden?
In Casca, talk upon landscaping. We're gonna do about 250K, 260K by the time winter's over. Not sure about next year yet, but probably somewhere in the range of 400 to 500K would be our goal.
Cool. And then for those of you that don't know me, I'm Ricardo Vargas, owner of Augusta Lawn Care of Alexandria. We will be doing around 270 this year, and likewise as Aiden. Next year, probably around 400 to 500. Nonstop growth until
Let's go.
500.
I want
Let's
to
What's
get
in
change
it.
my
Augusta?
answer. I'm gonna do like 271K.
Ah, you're a funny boy. Just
What's
because of that, I'm gonna do 271.1.
I
Ricardo?
bet.
What's Augusta?
What's Augusta?
Yeah,
Oh man,
Yeah, what is Augusta?
it's a worldwide brand.
you are a
It's
what
It's
owner?
franchise. I am a franchise owner.
a
Uh,
corporate sellout owner.
I hear jealousy. Nah, yeah. So Augusta is a franchise out of Seattle, Washington. Mike Andes is the franchisor. 150 locations around the world. Yeah, like the first one in Australia, and then
They're
the
probably
rest
at
are
like
here.
200 by now. He's been
No, they're
saying
still they're like
150.
170. I'm pretty sure
Shit.
170. So 2025 is probably gonna be like 200 plus. Let's kind of dive right into it. Do you guys have any current
Yeah.
events going on?
No, let's go. How do we meet? Let's go over this first because this is important.
Okay. Let's do a little blast from the past. So
Because this is podcast one, right? I mean, we gotta.
this is podcast one. We
I
got to do
got touch
some
bases.
background. You guys are right. I'm jumping ahead. So
It's actually podcast like fucking 20, but
it's actually try like 600, dude.
We're
Oh my
practicing. We're practicing.
You're practicing a little too much, but um, so last year it was Landscape Summit in October, again hosted by Mike Andes, and I guess we can all kind of see. Let's just take turns and go from our perspective, kind of how we met. From what I remember, is that somehow we landed at the same table. Maybe like I can't remember if it was day one or day two. Landed at the same table, and I don't know, we just started asking each other questions, and then we were like, all right, let's go get some food. There was two other individuals with us, and then I don't know. My memory is like blanking right now, but I think that's
yeah.
about it.
So I think first off, Louisville, Kentucky, like a couple days
Mm,
before Equip Expo.
2023.
yes,
Last when was that during the year? That was in the middle of the season,
October
wasn't it? Early fall.
yeah,
2023.
it was
Yeah.
October.
So I'm pretty sure when we first met, we just happened to like sit together during the first lunch break.
No.
Yeah,
So me and Aiden and another guy, I sat down next to them during the conference,
Right, right.
and then I kind of was talking to them. We decided to hit lunch up for our lunch break together,
Yeah.
and then Ricardo sat down at the same table as us on
hmm
the second day, and
hmm
then we all decided to go to dinner that night.
We went scootering the first day though after.
Oh
I
yeah,
You
didn't.
and
yeah,
my
yeah,
yeah, we went from the hotel through like the ghetto to Churchill Downs to check it
yeah,
out on
yeah,
Lime scooters.
yeah, on Lime
Dang,
scooters, and
Lime
then
Scooter's
tracked
crazy.
back.
Yeah.
It was
And
crazy.
we went to Chipotle that day too, I think.
Yeah, yeah, we went to
Yeah.
Chipotle. That's where we first hit it off.
So
And
then
then Ricardo came the second day.
hmm
We all ate at, what was it, TGI Fridays?
It was TJ Fridays.
TGI Fridays.
Chili's, Applebee's.
It
Hey,
was not.
hey, you gotta
There's.
plug.
It was not
You
Chili's.
gotta plug. You gotta plug the picture, the iconic picture.
I gotta find the picture. I'll try to look for it, but I'm pretty sure it was TGI Fridays. And then obviously we had two other individuals that we should not name. One of them is Lamb, and the other one's Rage Room. Um,
Shout out by the way.
hey, shouts out. It's okay,
800K.
Mr. 800K.
We had some fibbers. We had some fibbers.
And
Terrible.
as all things in life, some must come to an end. But then again, once things come to the end, only memories
Hey, maybe
stay.
it'll come around. Who knows?
Oh,
Is
there
it?
it is.
There you
Oh,
go.
it's kind of blurry. There you go. For the audio listeners, I suggest you go to YouTube
Yeah.
and watch it. But
Hello, Brian's Lawn Maintenance. I invite you to come over to the channel.
oh yeah, I invite you to come over to the channel and to look at the picture I just showed.
You're invited.
But that's kind of how we met, and then let's move forward into how this year's been for us so far. So, who wants to go first?
Wait, real quickly, let's bring that full circle.
Okay,
Mr. 800K or Mr. Rage Room,
Mr. Rager.
he like refuses to give us like his phone number or something out of, I don't know, security. So for the longest time, we were on this app called Signal. And like,
Yeah,
come on, like we're all busy people. We're not checking our Signal app respectfully.
yeah.
So
For
Exactly.
those
then
who don't know
fine,
what Signal is, it's like a WhatsApp messenger type
it's
of
like an encrypted, yeah, like
yeah, it's one of those
messenger app.
things.
Finally, I think it was Parker. He was like, "Yo, what's your guys' numbers? Like, let's actually like start talking. Like, this is
Yeah.
stupid."
Yeah.
So then, the only two people that responded in a timely manner were Ricardo and myself. So we started talking, FaceTiming anytime we had issues or anything, and brings us full circle. Now we figured why not just fucking record it because we're gonna be FaceTiming 3 times a week anyways.
Well, we were FaceTime almost every day that one time for like a
Yeah,
month and a
at
half.
some
Once
point we were
all
going
three
through
of us.
it. Once everything came crashing down, we're like, yeah, this is a daily thing now.
Uh, but cool. So take it.
So, all right, so I guess I'll go first. From conference onto current until current time. It's been a rough year, you know? It's been a okay year, I should say. It's not been rough. Apart from some personal events, I think business was
It's not funny. It's not
it's
funny.
not funny. It's not funny. During March, I had Mike come do the turnaround, as you guys know. And then afterwards, 3 months later, in July, that's when I converted over to the franchise. And then, dude, it's just been up from there. You know, the initial investment was a lot. You know, $22,000 plus is a lot of money. You know, I managed to pull it off. Essentially, I've already recouped the initial investment. So
Just
really
off
excited for next
lights.
year. Just off of lights, dude. It's insane. That was literally my that was my goal between 20
Yeah.
30K in lights to recoup the cost. So now I'd say breaking even for the year. Not not too much profit, but breaking even. So that's good, especially with the amount of money we spent. But rough patches along the way, but hey, this is business ownership, right?
So you want to dig into each one of our seasons a little more and
Yeah,
then
give a brief
pass it off to
overview.
the next.
Yeah, so like, what's the hardest challenge that you faced in the season?
Yeah.
Kind of which months were the hardest? Kind of highlighted, and then
I've got a
what did
bunch.
you get out of that?
I mean, you could probably go on forever, but I just
Yeah,
was wondering if you wanted to go over the biggest pros of joining Augusta so far as opposed to
the biggest
Romeo.
pros.
Yeah.
So the biggest pros is definitely the fact that I don't have to answer phones. The fact that, command center, well, for people who don't know what command center is essentially like a call center, right? But it's not like in Asia or whatever, right? It's local to the US. It's trained professionals that have experience in the industry. So like, if someone calls in for a specific request for services, they're not like, oh yeah, let's just, we'll route this call over to the estimate or whatever. Like, no, like they'll take care of it. They'll do it to the best of their ability. They'll do over the phone estimates. They'll put everything in the CRM, and just having that time freed up and not being so anxious about answering the phone is really, really, it's definitely something that you can't really put a price on, right? Because imagine it like you're working 12 hours out in the field, you're done, like you just want to go home, you want to relax a little bit before hopping on to the computer and then doing more work, doing more estimates. And then you get a call from an angry client because like you forgot to
Hmm.
weed whack a corner, like, or your boy or like one of your employees forgot to like blow off a little part of the patio. Like imagine that, right? So it's like either that or just like the fact that there's always someone there as a backup, right? When it comes to like estimates, even when it comes to like customer relations, stuff like that. Also, like technology wise, I think Augusta's pretty advanced, if not the most advanced company right now, especially because of Copilot, which we all use. We're all witnesses of that. And then overall, I just believe that the brand of Augusta is going to be $1 billion brand in the next 10 to 20 years. So I definitely wanted to be a part of something bigger than myself because 10 to 20 years, well, either way, in 10 to 20 years, I would have made multiple millions of dollars. It could be tens of millions with Augusta. So
Hmm.
definitely want that to happen.
Parker, you have any good questions off of that, or should I drill them again?
So my biggest question is like, how much time do you think you've saved from the call center?
That's a
Say
good
that one more
question.
time.
How much time have you saved from the call center?
Let's say like per
Oh,
week. Like how much admin time? Because they bill you based on the time, right?
yeah. So they bill you at the end of the day, at the end of the month. I mean, I could probably pull up the receipts and figure it out, but I would say on an average week, I would probably save maybe like a day and a half of just call on like busy season. Not even on the busy
So
season,
like
like on a
12
regular
hours, you're
season.
saying? 12 hours of admin work
Probably, yeah, yeah. Because
per
I
hour.
mean, they also, they answer the calls, they manage the emails over the phone estimates,
Yeah.
they look at collections, your QuickBooks, payroll, all this and all that. So I
Dude,
think
that's
combined, at this point in time, it's probably like 1 to 2 days of admin work that I'm saving myself.
it's so nice that it scales up and down based on if you're busy or not in the
Hmm.
season. Because like if you're paying your
Exactly.
own admin person, you're paying them
Hmm.
the same amount always, theoretically.
Theoretically, but with this, I mean, like my command center bill is like at the top of the season for like when I joined.
So say 12 hours, like how much would that?
So I'm paying like anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500, depending on like how busy it is. And obviously that's
Mhm.
a big variable, and it's gonna go down this month
Yeah.
early. I mean, like in order to have a full-time admin person at this size, like you'd need to pay like probably double that. It's built for owners that are in the growth stage
Mhm.
before 500K. After that, it's when maybe having an internal person would be a little more beneficial for
So
more customizable stuff.
I was gonna ask that before I asked another question. So there's a lot of people in Augusta when they do get to the size that they could have a full-time admin, they'll hire someone
Yeah.
because there's
Yeah,
a lot of
yeah.
cost savings if it's full-time, if it's 40 hours a week or whatever.
It's more, so there's like two reasons why you would do that inside of Augusta. One of them is because you have a spouse and like not really cost savings because even if it wasn't your spouse, you would still need to pay that person probably a
Yeah.
little more than, $3,000, probably around four or five, and it would be salary.
If they're only working on your business, though, I think this is what you're about to say,
Yeah,
probably.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
more
And then the thing is
personal.
that,
They know your business.
they're not managing 5 to 10 locations at a time. They're managing your own
Yeah.
location. They know up and down what you're offering, what your pricing is, what you would even say. They're essentially a mini you, right? And so there's definitely upside to that, probably a higher close ratio when it comes to estimates, jobs
Yeah.
accepted. But then again, the fact that it might be your spouse means that they're more incentivized, right, to make things actually work. If it's an outside person, the only thing that really incentivizes them is either any kind of profit sharing that you share with them or just the pay overall. They don't necessarily take the business heart to heart, or like most of them don't. So
Yeah.
it's definitely an up and down. And the thing about command centers that they do take it to heart because it's not only their job, it's like the whole point of it, right? So
Yeah.
it's like having that. I would say it's like having that middle ground between like a spouse relationship in a business and an employee, right? It's like that middle ground where it's like it's not personal, but it's personal enough so that
Yeah.
they actually care.
Yeah.
That's what's good about it.
So I wanted to ask if you had anything to tell us about the training that you went through. How was that experience?
Oh, dude,
And
I
let me
think training
frame it
was
like
really good.
this. Let me frame it because you going into that obviously are very knowledgeable about business in general and have obviously watched a ton of Mike Andes and other
Mhm.
people landscape business. With that in mind, how much did you learn on top of what you already knew?
So, so when we go to training for 4 days, right? If I if I remember correctly, I can't remember if it starts on a Monday, it starts on a Tuesday. I can't remember which one, but um, Actually, pull it up. I have the binder right here. Again, audio listeners, I suggest you go over to the YouTube channel. But there's kind of this training schedule, and you can't really see it, but it's 4 days,
Yeah, get the
right?
point.
And so, like, the first 2 days, I would say, is it's like almost overview. At least for me, it was pretty much overview. And when I went to training, there was also like 10 other owners coming in. The Australians were part of my cohort in training, so it was nice talking to them. But it was all different sizes in business. Some of them were making $800,000, $600,000 a year. I think there was one guy that was making $2 million a year that was joining Augusta, which is insane. And then there was people that's just starting out, people that this is like their first time ever picking up a mower and stuff. So it was definitely a good group. And day one, we're talking about stuff that Mike has talked about a lot, right? When it comes to stages growth, capacity, kind of like the client experience within Augusta, this and that. So it was pretty standard stuff, like how to use Copilot, how to use P4P, and all that. And then day 3 and 4 is when you start looking at, hey, how can we grow this? How can we actually, it's less theory and more application. I would say that. Less theory and more application. That's kind of where I was more interested in. So it's definitely, it's definitely a good experience to have, especially going out to Washington and seeing the original Bellingham shop, seeing how Command Center works, meeting the staff. I think it's a very, very cool experience. And since I was on the turnaround video, when I went to Command Center, saw the media team, they were like, "Hey, it's Ricardo." So it was like a nice little experience. And then I think the people in my in the training, the franchise training, the
They
other
recognize it.
franchisees, they didn't know at first. They didn't really know at first. The only one that knew were the Australians. Like they came up to me like, "Hey, you're
Uh,
that guy from the from the video," and I was like, "Yeah." And then that's when everyone started like saying stuff. But it was definitely cool, a cool thing to do. Yeah, I mean that's probably it. The thing. Also, a cool thing is that whenever you're training your GM, they go to the same training as the franchisees,
mm,
right? Because it's
that's
all the
huge.
same. It's the same thing, right? There's no difference whether you're a GM, whether you're a franchisee. You will learn the same in order to do the same, right? Because they're here to replace you, essentially. So I think
You
that's
send them for
very
free?
good question. I think you pay, I might be wrong, but I think you just pay for the flight and the stay
Oh, cool.
and maybe like $1,000 or something to train them
I
up.
mean, that's invaluable. So, I mean, it doesn't
Yeah,
matter. I
it's
was just
it's
curious.
it's nothing. It's nothing compared to
So
the amount of money they'll
when do you
make you.
send us?
Yeah, we're Ricardo's GMs.
Yeah, yeah. He's gonna start 2 more locations next year.
Damn, Ricardo, two GMs? Like, you're growing fast.
Virginia? Aren't you in Virginia? Why are you going to Connecticut? Well,
I could have sworn I saw them at conference. That one kid was wearing a duck shirt every day. What is that?
the other one was full orange. I don't think orange and yellow are the same.
Dang, dang, call me out.
They caught me, but I think it was a great experience. I fully recommend it.
Cool.
Definitely worth the $22,000 that I paid.
Yeah.
Me or you, Aiden?
Well, do you have any more questions for him, or should we move on to another?
I think you answered pretty well.
Cool. Anything else you want to share about your season before we? I mean, I'm
Nothing
sure.
that's not probably not business related, so no.
Yeah, I
Keep it
mean,
on the
as
DL for
we
now.
talk about other topics and stuff, obviously we'll uncover a lot more about our years and whatnot. But Parker, you want to go next, or?
I can, yeah. So I was looking at my CRM. So this was, just to give some context, this was my first season full time. I quit my job in August of 2023. So 2024 was my first solo season full time. Well, I was doing really good because in March I did $22,000 in revenue, and I was like, oh yeah, this is a $200,000 business. Well,
Well,
what I did wrong was, as I was doing a bunch of landscaping and mulch installations, so I didn't spend time marketing or trying to look for recurring work. So the next month it dropped down to 13,000. Is that right? No, sorry, 11,300. So I basically got cut in half just because I should have done a little less mulch installation, done a little bit more door knocking or flyers or anything like that for recurring mowing. So that was the first L I took, first learning experience. Uh, the season was pretty regular. The only issue that I had again was I had two more issues. July, I went. I only did about $7,000 in revenue because we had the worst drought we've seen in years. It was like 5 weeks of no rain. So by
Mhm.
week three, there was nothing to cut. No, everyone was canceling. I was calling, trying to see if I could sell some landscaping. No one wanted to do landscaping, anything like that. Well, then of course the next following month, we did almost 13,000. Actually, that month we did 18,000 because then everyone was like, "Hey, you know that landscaping you were talking about?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "We want it done," and I was like, "Well, now I don't have time, but we were able to fit a couple in." And then the worst month was in September. So September, I got double pneumonia, and it was in the hospital and out of work for about a week and a half, and then also just stuff started stop growing. Jesus, that was a mouthful.
Dude, I forgot about that.
Yeah, I was in the hospital for I
Stop
was in the
growing.
So
hospital
much shit
for
happened this season. I just completely forgot you were in the fucking hospital for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I remember
yeah,
when you were in the hospital. That show was rough.
it sucked.
But low key, shouts out to Parker because bro then never gave up.
No,
Never
I
gave
never gave
up.
up. There's some other stuff too. Like for instance, in 1 week I have three mowers. I have two walk behinds and a turf tiger.
That
All
shit
three
breaks
of
down
them broke.
everything.
All three of them broke. First one broke on Monday, second one broke on Wednesday, and the last one broke on Thursday.
Love it.
Just to
And
let you
then
guys know how it was. It was like every day Parker texting us, my mower
yeah,
broke. My mower
yeah,
broke down. My
yeah.
mower broke down.
Seriously. And then the problem was is all three of those repairs were things I had to order. Like parts that the dealer didn't keep, I had to order them.
Oh, of
So then
course.
I was out of work. Like I didn't have a mower for like seven days straight. So I called you guys and I was like, "What do I do?" And I remember someone said something about like renting or borrowing a mower, and I was like, so I called my dealership in the area and they had one for rent. So that saved me that week. And then there was a bunch of other little things that happened. I had someone rear end me. I was mowing a yard. Trailer was halfway off the roadway, halfway on, and this guy blew a stop sign and rear ended my trailer. Totaled it out. So I had to go buy a new trailer. Just bought that one in August of 2023. It wasn't even a year old. So this year's been a struggle. When they talk about your first year is rough, I think I probably had one of the roughest without giving up.
That's what's
So
important. You didn't give up. That's what's important.
but to say at the end of the year, I still enjoyed it. We still did 100. I think we'll close the year out at 140 or so. Just had a part-time helper, usually 2 days a week, to help me take care of my commercial contracts. But I mean, other than that, it's been pretty good year, I'd say.
Dude, so tell me, during that drought and the fact that you were at the hospital, why didn't you just quit? Like, it wouldn't have been hard, you know?
I've never really been a quitter.
Okay.
So the thing is like you don't look at what's going on today. You try to look at if you get trapped in what's happened in the past or what's happened today. Like the quote I gave Ricardo is your windshield is 95% of your view when you're driving.
Your rear view mirror, not
Your
your
rear view
windshield.
mirror, no, your windshield's
Yeah,
95%.
Your mirror's 5%.
Your
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 rear view
rear view
mirror
mirror is only 5%.
percent.
So you should really spend 95% of your time looking ahead. So when I was
Yeah,
going through the rough times, I was looking at like, well, the past previous months, the past previous months were good.
Parker
So
Knowledge 2024. Sorry.
I knew it was just a, I knew it was just a downhill cycle. Like I knew it was going to bounce back. If you just continue to work, you don't give up. Something will always happen.
definitely. So there was rough times, right? Sometimes like you made money in March during the rush, and then slowly you saw that number dwindle down, and you came to the realization that you just focus too much on projects rather than recurring. What level of importance do you think that will play in for next season?
I think the main thing to watch out for is like getting ahead of yourself. So I went through all winter not doing any work from like December to March. For December
Right.
through March 1st, I did zero work. Like I basically was doing some side jobs. I was working with my dad. Like I was basically just trying to make an income and dwindling my savings. So when I started getting these landscaping jobs, 1,500 here, 2,000 here, 7,000 there, like I was starting to do pretty good. I was like, oh, this is great. Keep grinding, keep grinding. But then I realized like once the second month hit and mowing was here and I was only mowing 4 days of the week, I was like, uh-oh, or 3 days of the week, I was like, uh-oh,
Hmm.
I missed the opportunity of picking up more mowing clients because I spent all that time focusing on landscaping, which isn't my
Hmm.
model. It's not what I want to do.
Right.
So
Okay.
going into this season, did you have a specific like dollar amount like goal that you wanted to get to this season?
Yeah, this year I wanted to do 200. I work more efficiently with a worker, so
Mhm.
um I wanted to hit that quick to where I could afford to have someone full time.
Yeah.
It's just with me, it's like if I don't have anything keeping me to a schedule, it's hard for me to not stick to a schedule. So knowing if I text my guy like, hey, 7:30 in the morning, be at the shop or be at whatever, I know that I have to be there at 7:15 or
For sure.
7. So
Hmm.
it pushes me to like get up. If I'm like, well, it's only going to be an 8-hour mowing day,
Yeah,
I
let me
could get
sleep in a
done.
little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, I could go get breakfast with a buddy or something like that. So,
Good. I
Hmm.
completely understand.
and I hate. I mean, you guys can say it.
That's a chuck in a
I
truck mentality.
when it's August, 100 degrees outside,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and you just don't want to get out of the truck. You're just like, I'm gonna sit here in the AC. But when you got that employee, you're like, all right, dude, let's go. Let's get this over with. So it's just like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like having
So
someone else in the truck you can just lean on sometimes.
let me ask you this. So you wrote down 200K, right, that you wanted to get to.
Hmm.
Did you work your way backwards from that number and try to figure out, oh, I need this much recurring work. I'm probably going to do this much project work. Did you break it down at all? Or was it just like, okay, I'm going to try to sell as much as I can?
No, no. So I had a mindset of like during winter, we all kind of follow Mike Andy's YouTube channel, and I've been following him since he like basically the videos where he came out of the hospital back in like 2015, 2016.
Hmm.
Hmm.
That's kind of when I started just dwindling in it, and then I really got heavy into it about 2, 3 years ago. And the main thing that made me quit and do it full time was when they did the Charlotte locations, like start when Mike Andy's personally started and was
That
like,
was awesome.
That
yeah,
was cool.
that pushed me to really kind of like just do my own thing. So I followed one of his strategies that was like, uh, I can't think of what he called it, but basically you backwards engineered how much your average cut was, and then
Hmm.
how much you wanted to make, and how many guys you would need for that. So the 200,000 would be like I knew that was going to be probably me and another guy, 50 hours a week, Monday through Friday, Monday through Saturday, grinding. But I wanted to hit that mark because I wanted someone in the truck with me full time. So I did do some backwards engineering. I knew that I probably needed about 20K a month to hit the 200 because the
Yeah.
mowing season is usually about 10 months. The first month I really stuck to that number. I got to 20. I think it was like 23,000, I think I said. So that was a good milestone, and then I was like, all right, we're on track. And then the next month it was like, what happened? Like I kind of got
Hmm.
blindsided.
Hmm.
So,
I just wanted to touch on that because, and I'm sure we'll speak about it in another podcast more because the one I spoke about it got deleted. But when I went to this conference recently, the LMN
Hmm.
Mastermind in Boston, they were talking about how to properly set goals. And one of the things was, yeah, you could say I want to hit 200K this year, but if you're not breaking it down, like I'm going to
Hmm.
need this many guys, I need this many lawns because my average cut is this, and then
Hmm.
I'm going to backfill with this much project work. And then on top of even that, break those down. This is what I have to do to get this many lawns. This is how much my customer acquisition cost is this. So I need to
Hmm.
spend this much in marketing. So that's something I've been thinking about recently. And that's something I did previous to this season to make sure I hit my goal.
Yeah, no,
yeah,
definitely preparation will set you up. for greatness?
I've already been kind of backwards engineering for my goal next year. Something something that we might plug into a different podcast or clip it is I recently did a business acquisition with another company in the town next door to me. Someone wanted to sell, wanted to get out, wanted to do something else. They had some commercial contracts that were actually kind of worth it. So I ended up creating a contract with him and I bought those. So next year, if I don't pick up any clients, I don't lose any clients. I'm about 180,000. So now I'm kind of looking forward to hiring and getting someone to help me full time. But like, I don't know. It's just like backwards engineering it. I know based off of my CRM that my average client is about $60 a cut. So if I want to hit 250, I just took the difference in what this year is, or what I already have in contract and divided it by, my average client number a year I think is 1,700. So I just took the 180 minus the 250 is 70,000. Divide that by 1,700. That tells me how many clients that I need to pick up on average.
I think doing that backwards method is important because once you figure out your customer acquisition cost and you know which target you want to hit, it's pretty much just actually executing it, right?
40
Putting in
clients.
the 40 clients. Yeah, so you
40
put in the
clients.
work for the ads, you put in the work on the door hangers, you put in the work for referrals, making sure you guys are doing good, and then everything else will just follow.
So knowing that number, I need
Hmm
40 clients. I know my usual client acquisition cost is about 150. So I need 150 times 40 to put towards marketing, which is, I don't know, what would that be?
40,
5,000 or so, 55,
yeah, I'm gonna say 4,500, something like that. 150 times 40. Oh, I'm wrong. It's $6,000.
6,000.
And Parker, I would say honestly, what it, however you got that number, it might even be lower given the fact you're going to have a website ranking high, and that's going to be a ton coming in just based on that.
Yeah,
Hmm
yeah. It's definitely probably going to be. Another thing is like I said earlier, is I didn't spend my marketing time correctly or money correctly in March. So I had to spend more because I was already late in the season. I was basically picking up
Right.
the people who hired a service and that service did horrible. Then they were calling me. So that was like the only people that I really picked up. If I would have done more door hangers in probably late February, early March, I probably would have been able to hit the 200,000 mark this year.
Were you grinding the free Facebook groups in the spring?
Yeah. I
Okay.
still my
I
problem
liked
is
all
that
of your stuff on Facebook. I liked
yeah,
all
yeah,
of it.
yeah. Yeah, I post big on Facebook. I'm this year my goal for 2025, my goal is to post at least once a day. Once a day.
Good. Yeah, I don't really go on Facebook groups like that. I just stick to ads and door hangers, really.
It's free, dude. It's free.
Yeah, I probably should for next year.
I,
Probably
I'll tell
should.
you. I'll tell you some of my Facebook. Like I posted a video about the lake bottom cleanup, and it got me a $6,000 job.
Mm,
They
that's
had
good.
another guy. They had another guy that was below me at like 5,200 or so, but they picked me because of my videos on Facebook. They trusted me.
Yeah, yeah, and then it just speaks to, always recording what you're doing, recording you yourself as you do it, and then having proof of your work to not only just, not to only justify your price, but to prove that, you do what you say you do, right? And you are as professional as you say you are. So it's just proof.
Well, dude, scratch all that. It's free. Who cares what it
And it's
does? It's
free.
free.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah,
On
I
top of
post
that,
I
icing.
post in like 10 Facebook groups. And the thing is like everyone's like, "Oh, how many jobs that get you?" It's so hot or cold. Like you could
Hmm
post 10 times
Oh yeah.
one week and not get a thing. And then you post like a week later and everyone and their mother is calling you.
Yeah.
So like that's something that I do cuz I can always schedule them for later down the road. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. And so your strategy next year, obviously, apart from the acquisition that you have, assuming no churn, which you'll probably have some churn, but assuming no churn and adding in the two commercial contracts that you got, you're about 180,000. And you're gonna do like a $6,000 marketing campaign during the rush to get to
I'm probably going to do 10,000. 10,000.
10,000. And with that, what are you hoping to get to? 250?
At least 250.
At least 250.
At bare minimum, I want to hit 200. Just because
Okay.
um, I think my ultimate goal is to retire my dad. So he's in an industry that he doesn't love. He owns a flooring company that installs flooring, and he hates it. He hates going to work every day. It's hard
Hmm.
on his body. So the
Hmm.
ultimate goal is to retire him and probably put him in
Hmm.
a position where he can send guys out, tell them what they do, kind of quality control, like basically do that. So I think at the end of the day, I need to be at half a million to 750 until that point. So I'm trying to get there within 5 years. It's about 800K 5 years.
Once you get to 500K, do you plan on bringing him on to business, or what's kind of the plan for that to get him out of the flooring industry?
500K, I could probably make a position for him. He might have to mow grass, but I could give him a guide where he could just sit on the mower and mow, and the guy could
Hmm.
weed whack. You know,
All right, boys. Are we on track here or what? What I missed?
nothing. We were talking
Nothing
about my
much.
ultimate goal.
Yeah. Talking about his
Basically,
goal of retiring his dad from the flooring industry.
let's talk about golf.
Oh man, don't the golf is a trigger word for him,
That's how we get him to text back.
I love golf.
man.
Yeah.
Ugh.
But yeah, I think if I did a 10K marketing spend, I could probably maybe get to the 300 mark. But at that point, I'd probably need three
Probably t
or two, yeah, two full time, and I would probably be 3 or 4 days out in the field. The other days would
So, what do you say your goal is for next year? What did you settle on?
250.
250? That's a good
Mhm.
goal. That's a good goal. I feel like 250 is a good jump off point to whatever the next number you want that to
I
be.
think.
Yeah.
See, I think 200 is like a gray area because 200 you could do it with two people, but you would be working 50 hours a week every week. The 250 mark would give you like some breathing room. You'd probably be working 42 hours a week with maybe a little bit of part-time help. I think 250 is reasonable.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're talking about kind of those points. I think checkpoints in at least a landscaping business would be, one person yourself between 100 to 150. Then you have a second person, I would say full time, 250 between 250 300. And then after that, there's no reason why you should ever stay between 300 and 500. You should just shoot up to 500 before you like burn yourself out for a whole season or two. So that really, it's like 2 to 3 people full time plus yourself on the field on and off. So
The the
I
problem
feel
the
like,
problem with 250 the 250 or like 300 to 500K mark is you don't see the owner doesn't see a lot of profit. So he's like,
yeah,
why am I doing this? I could, have a lot less stress and
hmm,
only have 2.5 guys and I don't have to do too much. The problem is once you get to like 800K, that's when it starts like you start reaping the rewards. To
oh
800K to a
yeah,
million, you start pulling, 100K, 50K out of the business a year. You're like, okay, this is kind of worth the
finally
stress.
working. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a long-term play. And I mean, all of us here understand that even before starting the business, it was going to be like a 5 to 10 year process before seeing real rewards. Like, obviously, like salary compensation distributions that we see now they're cool, right? They're nice, but like it's nothing compared to the distributions you get at a much bigger scale. So that's obviously the goal. And
Well, they say it takes like 3 to 4 years of business
yeah,
to recover your income that you would have made at a job. So you got to keep that in the back of your head.
hmm,
If you're living paycheck to paycheck, I recommend you start on the side for 2 or 3 years and then make the leap eventually. Don't just randomly start this because it'll be way worse for you if you just, oh, I'm just gonna start lawn mowing. If you have nothing, no
that's
experience, nothing.
that's literally what I did.
Well, you just came out of high school. It's a little
Yeah, we're
different.
young though.
Yeah, we're young. If you're young, dumb, and broke, I would say just do it, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah,
what's the worst thing that you can do? If you still live with your parents, do it. You crash, guess what? You crash at your mom's basement, you're fine. And if you like to play golf, you crash out of golf, you can always go to your mom's basement, so you're good.
exactly.
But yeah, if you have, the less responsibilities you have in life, the more risk you can take on. So I would say do it while you have no responsibilities. Because the moment you have a wife or a family, kids, an apartment, once you're moving out, responsibilities start stacking up and you have less time and your risk tolerance starts lowering down and then you start having problems and then stuff happens, right?
You can still make it happen, but
You can still make it happen, but when it's not just yourself and when it's someone else, and you kind of just put in your focus. And the longer you put your focus on, the longer your goals will take. So, young, dumb, and broke and single, go for it. Otherwise, I would say probably start part-time, like Parker said.
cool.
I agree.
Aiden, sounds like it's your turn.
Right. I was wondering when that was gonna come.
Let's see the lore for the duck lore.
So, remind me what the prompt was. Challenges
Yeah,
this
so
season,
main challenges of the season,
or just
how
a
you
little
got over
walkthrough.
them. Yeah, how you got over them, kind of what you learned about it.
So, um, I would say we got a super strong start going into the season. I don't have my co-pilot on me, but I don't know, 40K a month. Most of those months, I think we had one month we did like 55K when we had a bunch of college dudes home. We were just knocking out mulch projects every day, like multiple thousands of dollars in mulch every single day.
Yeah.
That's good.
And first off, we're gonna go way harder next year on all that. But
I did 7K in 2 days in mulch.
That's good. That's
yeah,
good.
yeah, I mean, dude, mulch is insane money if you're doing it correctly.
Yeah.
Hmm.
But yeah, and so the number I set for my season this year was 225K. And I have it broken down on my goal sheet, but it was about like 5,400 a week I wanted in mowing, which we were like a tad under that. And then projects, I had like a 2 or 3 month span in the summer that I accounted for being able to do projects just because I knew the summer help was coming back. I mean, we probably stayed busy for like two of them or something, but like 5,700 a month or something like that I accounted for. Yeah, it was a good jump off point. We didn't hit those exact numbers, but we got to the same total a different way and actually blew it out a little bit. I would say if I could do anything better going into next year, it's just have more of a focus on hiring and training people as fast as I possibly can because I had so many leads this year that I just could not capitalize on simply because I knew we were at capacity. And I could have raised prices, yes, that's hindsight's 2020. My prices are already pretty high. I mean, we get more than 125 an hour on property. I don't know how much more you could ask for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say training huge for next year, hiring huge. And then I don't even know how much more marketing I'm going to do. Probably a little bit in the spring just to capitalize on the low CAC. But I think really if I capitalize on all the leads that were coming in through my website, and that was something new this year as well, my website. I didn't have that last year. That was huge for us. But if I capitalize on all that stuff, I think I could almost double the business just based on the organic leads coming in.
Hmm.
I think you could double the business by organic leads and hitting your clients list more often because we talked about that a
Yep.
little bit more behind the
Yeah.
scenes.
With our client list, we don't do a lot of like mass emailing or texting them, which I would like to, don't get me wrong. We did more you know, my main guy or myself would be on a property mowing and we would just see something that needs to be done. So we did a more catered upsell. Like,
Hmm.
hey, Miss Jones, whatever, we did your mulch last year and we noticed it could be done. I just sent over an estimate to your email. So, I mean, that was a lot of our upsells, and we did a lot of our work was from that, I would say. But tons of organic stuff, and I agree. I should be hitting my clients list way more often.
I think
Yeah.
I think I think right now at your size, the best thing you could probably do is just do a text message every 15th of the month. Just sit down for an hour and text all your clients personally. Like you could go into your what is it called, Notes app
Yeah,
and just text like hey, leave it blank. I noticed right now we're doing a promotion on so and so
yeah,
forth. We're now scheduling this, and then just add their name at the top. So hey Carol, hey Jim, and just make it personal that way. I
yeah.
think that would really give you a bump.
And I meant to do it that way on Copilot too. I put like all the tags for all my mowing customers, but I ended up just doing everything individually. When fall cleanups came around, for example, I just texted everyone that I did last year and then all of my current mowing customers, and I pretty much filled up my fall cleanup schedule that way. I did the same for spring cleanups in the spring, and I also had a list for core aeration and overseeding that I sent to. So I did do a couple upsells that way, but I could have capitalized probably more on mulch, bush trimming, and just, there's other stuff I could have capitalized on.
Core
Yeah.
aeration was a hit this year. That
Oh
was
yeah,
a
it's stupid
I
money.
got out. Yeah, I got out of the hospital. I did core aeration. I was like, all right, yeah, this is not too bad.
Yeah, dude. So hearing both of you guys talk of like single time projects for this season being a huge thing. For me, this season, what's been more huge, if anything, was just the amount of mowing customers we got. So it's like the complete opposite, right? I focused so much on recurring work
Yeah.
that I didn't really capitalize a lot. We still had, a couple like months jobs come in.
Yeah.
We had a couple of weeks, like maybe 1 or 2 weeks for correlation, which was pretty huge. I saw that. I saw how much money. Oh my God, I'm going hard on that. I'm going harder than that
Yeah,
next
so
year.
am
But
I. So am I.
dude, but
I'm almost
yeah,
gonna
no,
make
I
it
think
required.
so. I take a moment because this is an example of why these calls are even a thing in the first place, right?
Yeah.
Like Aiden talks about what he's doing in order to get, a large amount of mold jobs, what he did to hit 50K in a month. We can hear what Parker was doing, even when he was, down low when he was in the hospital, when he had a drought. We know what he did through these calls to get to where he is now, which, it's amazing. And I think that's why having communication with people that are around in the same industry and around the same point in business is important. That's why this is a thing. So I feel like just a quick thing would be to, if you're in business and you feel lonely, yeah, you should reach out, right? Go to mastermind events, go to conferences like we do, meet people, talk to
Reach
them,
out to
follow up,
us.
reach
Reach
out
out
to
to us.
us,
Hop on the
reach out to
pod.
it.
We love to
Hop
Seriously.
talk.
in the pod. We always look for interviewing people. We're going to start interviewing people soon now that we have a little more time.
I've got a second one, by the way.
Oh, that's amazing. I can
We've
probably
got
start.
we've got two guests coming on.
I can probably make a couple of people come on, but
Yeah.
I think that again, this is testament to what the whole podcast is, like the whole kind of core value of the podcast, which is community, right? People like coming together, sharing their experiences, sharing their mistakes, sharing what they've learned, and benefiting from each other. We don't have any monetary incentives between us three, right? Like we're not paying each other anything. We're not doing anything. This is just because we're good buddies, we're bros, and we want to see each other grow. So I think that is above. Like, you can't really put a price tag on it, right? You can't really
You
say that
can.
this is worth.
Like
You.
the
It
reason why I
depends.
say you can is because there's been so many stupid ideas that I've brought across you guys. You guys are like,
Yeah.
don't do that. That's stupid. Like, and that
Hmm.
probably would have saved me thousands
Yeah,
of
yeah.
dollars.
But I'm saying like a price tag, as in like you can't sell. You
We're
you
not
can't
paying for a
possibly. Yeah.
coaching. You
Yeah,
Yeah,
know.
yeah,
no, no.
yeah. This
I
is
get
not
that
something that you
side.
sell. You know what I mean? And so I feel like, yeah, even as much as we tell each other what to do, we also tell each other what not to do, which is arguably a little more important
Yeah.
because if you're an entrepreneur, you get a lot of urges to do a lot of things at the same time, things that diverge from the main focus. So just having someone in your corner tell you like, "Hey, you're being dumb. What are you doing?
Keep
Focus."
it simple,
Or
stupid.
there's a lot
Yeah.
of times where one of us are looking at a binary option, option one or option two. We hop in the call and someone's like, just so you know, like there's this third option that you have
Yeah.
Yeah.
no idea about.
Exactly. Yeah. You're so dialed in that like you don't see anything else. So
Yeah.
again, having that the outside
Core
perspective is amazing.
the core aeration comes from I never thought about like I was like, oh, no one does core aeration in my area. And I remember talking to you guys about just texting. So my idea for the whole thing was to do auto opt-in text
Yeah.
if you'd like I sent all my clients like, hey, just so you know, everyone's on the schedule to get core aeration. It's gonna be 3 times your mowing price. If you don't want the service, just text no thank you. And like four out of my or no, probably like 10 out of my 50 or so clients said no thank you. And then it was just like I did it and they're all like, "Oh, it looks great. Looks amazing. Thank you." No, I've been looking for someone to do this for
Mhm.
years. I'm just like, so
Yeah,
the
you
correlation
never know.
came from
That's the
Aiden.
thing, man.
And,
People,
and how long did that text? Like, how long did it take you to make that text and send it out? Like 30
I think
minutes,
it took
10?
me. I think it took me 20 minutes to
Exactly.
add to just text them, and then I instantly got like the 10 replies, and I knew the 10 people who were gonna say no. And then all the other ones are just I saw where it said read. The only thing is like I saw if they read the text message, I did it. If they didn't read the text message, I called them the week ahead and was like, "Hey, just to show you on the schedule." And they were
uh,
like, "Oh yeah, I saw that. I
Hmm.
just didn't reply." And I was like, "Okay." So
Yeah, exactly. Easy leverages.
people hear that, we're blasting texts out with upsells and whatnot, and people might think it's pushy. But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, your customer just wants to be told, if it's a premium customer, what should be done on their property. And 90% of the time, if it's a good company or a good customer that you actually want to keep, they're just going to say yes because it's going to benefit them.
you know what my number one example of that is?
So,
Mm.
How many of your clients tell you what to cut their grass on? Like what level, what
yeah,
height?
exactly. No one.
Yeah,
I have one, two that are like, "Can you go a
yeah,
little
like
lower?" That's
one
it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. Sometimes they'll say like a little lower or whatever,
sometimes.
but
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
it is what it is, but
yeah.
A lot of times
no,
people their bushes will be 12 foot tall, and I'd be like, "Hey, what about your bushes?" They're like, "Could you do that?" I'm like, "Yeah." Like half the time your clients don't know what you can do
Or
until
they
you
don't
tell
even
them.
know. They're like, oh, these bushes aren't supposed to be twice as tall as my house. They're supposed to be
What do you mean they're
boxwoods.
in my gutters, you know?
Yeah, yeah,
yeah, I mean, like, put yourself in their shoes. They have kids, they have
yeah.
spouse, they
They're
have
not
cars,
thinking
they have
about it.
wife. you think a
Well,
bush is like the first thing in their mind? They don't get it. They want
well
to be
the
told,
thing
like,
the
hey,
thing is they can physically do it, but they either don't have the knowledge or the
Some of the
want to do
stuff.
it. So they hire us. They hire
Yeah.
us.
yeah, that's the whole point. Bring
Dude,
a
I have
service.
people, I reach out, I'll mow their lawn. Everyone knows they need to mow their lawn, right? I'll reach out to some people in the fall and be like, hey, just booking fall cleanups now, like if you're interested. I'll have people literally say, like, what's a fall cleanup? Like,
Yeah.
it's crazy to us, but if you didn't tell them, like, hey, you want to get on the schedule for a fall cleanup, they would not, and their property would look like trash, and then they'd probably be upset. So you might
Yeah,
as well get the extra money. It needs to.
might as well. It's there for the taking, so you just gotta go take it, right?
And again, we're texting them like once a month or so. We're not texting them every day like, "Hey, those bushes need to be trimmed. Hey, those
Hmm.
bushes need to be trimmed." That pissed me
Yeah,
off. If I got text like once a month, I was like, "Hey, we noticed your gutters are, full. Would you like us to clean it?" I'd be like, "Oh, they are full. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it." Or it'll wait. But
right.
they're not going to get mad at us for trying to do something better for them, like to make their property better, because that is their asset. Like we are building wealth for them by keeping their house at a good level. Like if
Hmm.
their house, they actually say that if the lawn is cut and the lawn looks good, just street value alone adds like 15% to the home.
Right, curb appeal.
Curb appeal.
And not even just that. Like, I've had maybe two or three customers this year that have sold their house, and I've had them as mowing customers, and they're like, hey, like, we want to cancel because we're selling the home, blah 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 blah. And then immediately I'm like, okay, that's cool. I think we can get your bushes done. We can put some mulch down. Make sure you take good pictures. Make sure you do this and do that to raise the value. And they're like, wow, really? Is that a thing? Does that actually bring value? I'm like, yeah. I mean, and then you set them an example. Like, would you want a rundown house with, bushes that cover up the windows, with weeds in the beds, like just dirt instead of mulch? Like, would you buy that, or would you buy something that's well maintained, well
Hmm.
kept? If the outside looks good, the inside probably looks even better, right? So it's like just focusing on, not even just focusing on what the customer needs, just focusing on the pain points and how you can take away that pain and like bring a solution to a problem that they might not even know they have, is where the money is at, right? Because it's not the fact that they don't, it's not the fact that they want to get their grass cut. It's the fact of what happens when their grass is not cut, right? When grass is not cut, it starts looking like a jungle, and then rodents start coming in, roaches start coming into the house, deer,
Bunch of
whatever,
stuff.
animals.
Bunch of
And so,
stuff.
like, once you
Deers
get
in
to
the
that
house is
level,
a new
it's,
one. Hold on a second. Deers in the house is a new one.
well,
I
not
don't know
deer in the
anyone
house,
that's
but
had
like
that problem.
in their backyard. I mean, but like it's like that whole thing could be avoided with a $40-$50 cut weekly, right? It's like cutting your hair. Same
let me
thing.
riff off that real quick because this is super interesting. So, Mark Bradley at this conference. Oh, speaking of deers in the house,
What
Hey,
happened?
you can see dogs
would
throw
you
Technical difficulties. Stand by. Technical
come
difficulties.
over
Stand
to the
by.
YouTube? Come over to the YouTube.
Come over to the YouTube. Something going on in Parker view.
My guess is there's probably either a ladybug, a stick
It's a
bug.
deer. It's a deer. It's a deer.
Don't let her eat it. Come on, go outside.
Is it a
What
mouse?
happened?
The dog threw up.
Come on.
For audio listeners, this is a good plug-in to go to the YouTube channel. Check out
But
the
let's
video.
roll the ads.
Roll the ads.
Come on,
This
Brady.
video
Augusta Lawn
is
Care.
Technical
this
difficulty.
video is sponsored by Augusta Lawn Care. If you
That's
need your
funny.
grass cut, if you need your lawn mowed, if you need your bushes trimmed, contact Augusta
Hey,
Lawn Care.
hey, that was a good wrap up.
And now back to your regular scheduled programming.
So let me get this point off real quick.
Fucking bed.
So so this dude Mark Bradley, he was running the conference. He ran if I'm not mistaken, a $50 million luxury design build company up in Canada.
Right. Yeah, projects.
He partnered with well, he approached real estate agents and said like, do you have an exterior stager for when you're selling these, $1 million houses? And everyone knows that you stage the interior, but he came up to them, do you stage the exterior? And they're like, never heard of that. Like, maybe some are interested, some are like, no one does that. What's the point?
Right.
He said, all right, let me do one for free and just see how this impacts your sale. And it started doing so good that he partnered with all of these realtors just doing these refreshes outside. And then not only does he get the revenue coming from those after the first free one, he was doing these designs of what this house could be and
Hmm.
putting it on the table when people are coming in to buy the house. So he put, you could have this pool in the back with this beautiful patio, all this landscaping, trees, gardens, all of this. So not only is that providing even more value to the realtor to have them continue working with you, but when that inevitably, when somebody buys that house, whether it was because of those drawings or not, they're going to have these drawings in their possession. And you don't think once in a while they're going to book a $200,000, $400,000 install because these free designs they're giving these realtors, which by the way, they're only doing when they pay for these smaller refreshes to sell the house initially. So I thought that was super interesting.
Yeah.
He said a good amount of his work came through just that, some of his years in business, which is really
Okay.
cool.
So he would refresh for realtors, and then after that refresh is done, they see the work, he will be like, hey, just so you know, this would bring up your home price if we do this, this, and that. And it would be like pools, patios,
Well,
decks, and all that.
the initial one was just let's refresh your mulch, get crisp edges,
Right.
weed the
Yeah, just
beds,
like
trim the
quick
bushes
landscaping. Hmm.
to make it look perfect how it is.
Yeah,
But then on top of that,
is what it could
it's
be.
not even like this could raise the value of your home. It's like providing this value to the realtor so that when the realtor's customers to buy the house come in, they're like, oh, they see the vision. They're like, oh, if I buy this house and we put a little more money into it, this is what I could have, this beautiful landscape outside and whatnot. So I thought it was super cool. He was saying that, like, just super creative marketing. Obviously, we're not in the whole luxury design build world, but you can take some points off of it.
I think that well actually, you know what? Let's do that. What is your opinion on that projects versus kind of recurring simple services? Because again, Bradley Martin, what, $50 million business, something like that? I don't know.
Bradley
Multiple
Martin,
million.
Mark Bradley, Mark Bradley,
God,
yeah,
Bradley
$50 million
Martin,
dollar business, yeah,
$50 million business just off of mainly projects, huge projects. There's a bunch of people that do huge projects, right? And
yeah.
they're in the multiple millions of dollars a year. But there's also a lot of fragmented companies that are doing, one, two, $3 million here and there. We all have a local competitor that's doing a couple $1 million, and they only do recurring services. What do you think would be a better business model, right? Do you think focusing on that custom design build of multiple $100,000 projects versus having more of a recurring model, whether it's mowing, whether it's anything else?
I mean, I'll just speak for myself. I think
It's
Hmm.
why
still recurring.
well, when I lean towards the maintenance side for a couple reasons, but mainly because I'm young. I didn't go to business school.
Hmm.
I'm using this not only as an opportunity to build a business, but also a learning opportunity. And
Hmm.
I think it's way easier to scale a maintenance company
Yeah.
um to just even get the learnings from. I
Hmm.
think potentially these large design build companies could be a better business model. They have a potential to be larger, but it's just way harder to scale those types of companies. And let alone, I don't know how to make those landscapes. I mean, I could try. I could get better as time goes, don't get me wrong, but I'm gonna
I mean,
focus on what I know for now and build a
my
business.
thing is like I see, for instance, me going through the business acquisition. The only reason that I was even thinking about it is because he had contracts. Like he had contracts. That's the
Yeah.
only reason why I decided to do it, and I paid what I did. The problem is most large project companies, the only real value they have is contact list, to where you might get a second job from them if they kept track of every single person they serviced, and their equipment, trucks, trailers, that kind of stuff, and the name. Because the problem is like if you're doing $100,000, $200,000 retaining walls, multi-million dollar pools, whatever, most of the time the homeowner hears your name and that's what they go with. So if the owner or the designer leaves, it's kind of hard for another person to bounce back.
I will
With
Yep.
say,
recurring, you can just mow.
I will say that changes when you scale to a certain point in that type of company. Because, for example, when Mark Bradley sold, he wasn't in the day-to-day operations, so the company continued as usual when he left. So I think I agree with you up to a certain dollar figure, and I don't know exactly what that dollar figure is. 10 million, let's say, 5 million.
Yeah. Yeah. So just to plug in, I don't want to cut you off, but I know where you're going. And I think it's just that, so that's the difference, right? Like in both businesses, you can hand it off and be completely just fine. Even if you're head of, like, even if you're the face of the brand,
Yeah,
at different points in the business, you can hand it off. But with recurring, you can hand it off much, much quicker
yeah,
than with custom work, right? Because, dude, like you don't need a PhD or whatever to mow a lawn, right? You
right.
just need to have a little bit of common sense and experience and, not die in on a mower.
Granted,
But like,
The problem that I see with like large scale projects is the fact that recurring is one time. So you
mhm.
only have to chase that client one time for like as long as your retention rate's good for 2, 3, 4 years. If their average ticket is 2 grand and you keep them from 3 years, that's 6 grand you made off that client. If you're only doing large scale projects, and let's say that they want a small patio paver in the backyard, that's 40. You only got that one time.
I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
in
No, I
complete
know.
agreement with you, but I will say Mark Bradley said that at $50 million a year, he only had 16 customers that he worked with on a regular basis. He said something like 90% of his jobs came from 16 customers, which were all
Okay,
general contractors.
okay, but they're general contractors. And how many customers do those general contractors have?
Doesn't matter, you're only dealing with the general contractor.
So is he like a subcontractor technically now, or
It's kind
I
of
guess you would tech. It's more like, I mean, I'm not in the business, obviously, but either yes, subcontractor kind of, but you still charge whatever rate you want. Or I'm not sure, maybe the general contractor gets you in
is
contact with the customer.
for an
That's
example.
probably more likely, but
all right, I have a question.
My dad's an example of this. So he works for Bonnets, Youngs, and PBI. They are B2B, so they go from business to business. They estimate, they buy the product, um, talk to the client, they do all that. And then they hire my dad, they subcontract my dad to install the flooring. And my dad says, I'll do it for 20 grand. And they'll go,
right.
okay.
So for Bradley, so national, or is he just like in a state?
He's in Canada. I don't know.
He's in,
I don't know if they had multiple locations when they sold. I'm pretty
mhm,
sure it was one just big location,
one
if I'm
huge
not mistaken.
location.
Maybe
Okay,
maybe
because
like a main location with maybe like a satellite like 2 hours away or something, like couple. I don't know.
okay, yeah, because I'm
Also,
trying to
it's not just
trying to.
general contractors.
Uh,
I remembered he was talking about he worked with landscape designers too. So the
right.
designer would basically sell the job, hand off their limited set of plans off to Mark Bradley's company, and then they would give that mock up to their designers. They would change the 5-page design into a 30-page design, and then they would hand that off to the crew to do the work, and they didn't have to check in at all. They would just get it done because it's so detailed at that point.
I mean, you gotta admire that because
Yeah.
that's
He said his biggest regret ever is selling that business because it was just a money printer. He was not even involved. He was making millions of dollars a month doing nothing.
yeah, it is once you build a cash cow, it's kind of hard selling it
Yeah.
off. But even when you sell it off, like we can even talk about that. What
Next pod.
what?
Next pod.
Yeah.
Okay,
Financial.
yeah, okay, fine. Next
This
pod,
is
you
our
guys gotta
last
stick to
this
it.
is our last chance to change this word. It's
Last
official.
chance for those of a little bit background for those of you that don't know, which is all of you, because this
Money
is the first episode.
suggestions.
All
We've
of
been
you, but none of you because there's
all of
zero of
you,
you. We're speaking for
yeah.
ourselves.
Now we're gonna get a couple ones, but
Yeah, yeah.
uh, we're trying to do a little tag at the end and answer suggestions, or
No,
I don't know, like
no, no,
Yeah,
no,
how
no.
it
about how
doesn't have to
about the
be.
comments? Hit the comments what you think
Yeah,
it should be called.
all three of
Okay,
you. Us three will vote on the best one.
nah. I mean, let's just stick to financial suggestions for now.
Let's
All
ask
right.
ChatGPT.
Let's ask
For now,
ChatGPT.
what we're gonna call it is a final
Advice.
piece of advice to leave you off with.
Advice.
Mob logo advice.
Yeah.
Advice send off.
I'll get us
I
started.
said that.
My piece of advice would be on when you can get away with it and the customer's not gonna realize, just don't trim because it saves you like at least what 10 minutes of property.
There's
There's
no way
no
you
way.
said
There's
that.
no
There's
way you
no
just
way you
said
said
that.
that. That's what we cram in the darkest part of lawn care, okay? We are supposed to be a premium service. We
Hey,
don't miss.
especially if you're one of Ricardo or Parker's employees in the future listening and you're on P4P, just don't trim. You're gonna make way more an hour. Be like, come on,
Don't trim at all.
let's get it.
Don't trim. You know, when those summer heats, 90 plus, when nothing's growing,
There's
just
no
skip
way you
trimming. Just
said
skip
that.
trimming.
There's no way.
Maybe every other week. Maybe.
Maybe.
You
I'm a,
better
I'm a,
you
lo-
better you better shave it down to the ground if you're gonna
I'm
skip
a
it
look
next
at
week.
I'm
You
gonna
better
look at the
kill it.
P. I'm gonna look at the P4P calculation during the summer. I'm gonna see like we're getting like $40 an hour on mowing. I'm like, what? What's going on? They're taking 10 minutes on properties that's supposed to take 30 minutes. What?
All right.
Listen,
Crazy.
Who's next?
I'll go.
Oh
So
my God, there's no way that's your actual one.
I'm gonna give two because I have to touch on Aiden's. Okay.
Oh man.
My suggestion, if you want to save time with weed whacking, is if you have any chain link fence or any fence at all, go ahead and tell them that you're gonna spray weed killer. Like
If you have a
just
license,
yeah. Or you can do a home recipe that you can look up on Google, not required by license, that you
check
can
your state
spray.
statutes. Check your state statutes.
Check
This
with
is
your
not
state
legal advice.
statutes, but
Not legal
you could
advice.
you could save money by spraying the fences versus weed whacking them. My personal advice would be to live below your means. Period. You don't, I might hit some ladies in the tough spot right now, but you don't need your nails done. You don't need your hair dyed every 3 months. Guys, you don't need a new pair of boots every year. You don't need a new pair of shoes every day.
That's how hard you work.
You don't need you don't
You don't need to
you
go
don't
golf
need
every week.
you
Dude,
don't need
come
to go
on.
golfing every week. You don't need that $60,000 truck that you could afford the payment, but you're gonna be struggling. Just live below your means for 5, 10 years. Reap the rewards later.
Yeah, that's good. I think mine is kind of on that same spectrum. I would say that if you're young, again, young, dumb, and broke, go all in and become young, educated, and rich. In the sense that your 20s should be the time of your life that you should focus on learning as much as possible, for then to later on have an outsized return on it, right? I'll kind of just summarize the whole. I'll try to summarize it. So you can go to college 4 years, 22,
which none of us did.
be 22, 23, and to make $60,000 to $80,000 for a good while, and that's okay. That's pretty good money, for someone below 25. That's nice. Or you could spend those 4 years building a great business, learning at YouTube University, learning from people that have done what you want to do, and build something about that by the time you're 23, 24, which you've otherwise been getting out of college, you have something that you might not be there every day. You might be there 1 or 2 days during the week, and sprinkling up the same amount of money that you would have otherwise gone to college for. The only difference is that, guess what? You started 4 years earlier, and you now have experience to go and do that again, right? The only experience that you would get from going to college is going to college.
By
And
the way,
let me
going to college to build a business, you're saying. There's plenty of things that you should go to college to be.
If you're gonna be a doctor, go to
Oh
college.
yeah, if
Doctor,
you're gonna be a
engineer.
professional, if you're gonna be a professional, and that's what you want to do, and that's your passion, I would say chase the passion, not the money. But if that's your passion, go for it. But if you're going to college for business, if you're going to college in order to build a business, then you're way better off either buying a
Get an
course from
associate.
not even just that, it's just like trying to get a mentor, try to look for some high profile figure that has done what you want to do. Look at their content. If they are respectful, if they seem like they're trustworthy, buy their course, take some time, do some research, and then go all in and see what happens. Worst case, you fail and you have college as a backup, or you have grinding your ass off for another year to get your money back and start over again. At the end of the day, the more experiences you have, the more you learn, the more you will eventually earn. And so, even if you fail at first, the first 3, 4 times, the fifth one will be the one that you win just because you've gone through all the bad already. So,
Listen,
if you,
I'm gonna touch on that just for a second.
Mhm.
If you're 18 to 24, God
Yeah.
willing, you're gonna live to hopefully 70, 80.
Yeah.
If you
Probably
fail
longer.
at if you fail at 20, you have 40 years to figure it out.
Yeah.
Don't give up. Don't give up.
Yeah. There's no point in giving up because,
It takes one day.
yeah, it only just takes one big sweep. Like that's all it really takes, You can have.
At the casino.
It takes one job offer.
Don't listen to Aiden. Don't listen to Aiden. Bro does golfing.
Oh,
All right. I
you're
think
not
that's
going to
good.
be laughing when
That's
I'm on the
good.
PGA Tour, buddy.
I'll be your caddy guy. What are you talking about?
All right, we got to end this, bro. This
All
is
right,
getting
all right.
off the fucking rails.
All
It
right,
was
same
great.
time next
Mo
week.
Blow Go. I think
Moblo go out.
out of our 10 first attempts, I think this was our best podcast.
I think this
We'll
is pretty
see.
solid. I think this
I
is the
think we're
one. So
finally skilled enough to actually record more episodes and be confident
We
putting them out.
practiced.
we're recording this on a Wednesday. It is currently 7 p.m. If this goes up Saturday and Sunday, then you guys will know that this was the one. If it doesn't, then that means that we failed yet again.
Then we're just speaking into the
All
abyss.
right, let's just end it now while we're
Cool.
still good.
Mo
While we're
Blow
still
Go.
All
green.
right, out. See you guys.
Out.